Welcome to Film Studies. So how is the course structured? Well, it's basically a 2-year course and you'll be doing 70% exams, so there's 2 exams, 35% each, and then you'll be doing 30% coursework, which is the practical element of the course. Now when you do film studies, you're going to be studying lots of films, but when we look at the core content of the films, we're often looking at things like cinematography, mise-en-scene, editing, sound and performance, and we look at how these things basically create meaning for the audience. So when we look at the course, it's basically broken down into 3 sections. You've got component 1, component 2 and component 3. The course is 70% exam and 30% coursework. Now component 1 and component 2 is all exam based and component 3 is coursework based. In the first year you'll be looking at component 1, varieties of film and filmmaking. Here you'll sit a written examination of 2.5 hours, and this is basically 35% of the qualification. So in section A we look at 2 films, Blade Runner and Vertigo, and we're studying Hollywood from 1930 to 1990. And when we look at these 2 films, we're considering the auteur theory. So what makes Alfred Hitchcock and Ridley Scott auteur filmmakers? And then we move on to section B, American film since 2005. Here we'll look at 2 films, Captain Fantastic and La La Land. And when we study these films, we're really concentrating on ideology and spectatorship. And then once this is done, we move on to section C, which is British film since 1995. And here we'll look at another 2 films. We look at Shaun of the Dead and we look at This Is England. And when we study these films, we're looking at narrative theory and ideology. Then we start component 3, which is the coursework element of the course. This is where you get to do something enjoyable and practical. So you get to write a short film script and you get to do a storyboard sequence. And then once this is done, you also get to reflect on the creative process in your reflective, evaluative analysis. So when you look at the course, this is basically a plan for year 1. I won't go into year 2 just yet. We can talk about that when you join the course, but basically this is the plan for your year 1. So in the first term we look at the visual and oral elements, so we look at things like cinematography, mise-en-scene, editing and how all these things create meaning when you watch a film. And then we move on to component 1, section A, which is Vertigo and Blade Runner. So the first film we're going to watch is Vertigo. Then we move into term 2, and in term 2 we look at Blade Runner, we look at the film La La Land for section B, and we look at Captain Fantastic for section B. And now we start the coursework element, so we're starting to think about script development, we're starting to think about how to create a storyboard. And then we move on to term 3 and we're now up to section C, which is British film, and we're studying 2 films, Shaun of the Dead and This Is England. And then we'll be continuing our coursework, so we'll basically be further developing our storyboard and we'll possibly be redrafting our script. So that's a brief overview of the course. I hope you enjoyed that, and obviously we'll look forward to seeing you when you start at Wilberforce College.